Do you have an update for us on Dinelson Lamet and where he is with his throwing program?
Yeah, I think he's had a good start to the off season. He's on schedule. I think getting the updates from Scott Hacker and Mark Rogo, they've been very positive. We've had some people check in on him, and this is kind of the normal part, the normal start of the throwing program for him. So he's on track with throwing, and his plyos and all his exercises feeling good, and looking forward to him having another positive month next month and heading to spring training. So he's in a good spot.
Is he at the level? Is he progressing to what you expected at this point, or is it still wait and see until you can really see him in person?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think he's in a normal place, like where he would be at for his regular off-season throwing program. I think so. I think for us, everything's been full steam ahead. I think I think we're all we recognize that for any pitcher, like until they actually go and throwing every 5 days and putting volume and on their arm, that we'll see. That's the most important test. But in terms of the test that he's passing right now, all his workouts and picking up in baseball and beginning his throwing program to start the off season, he's reporting he's in a very similar spot to where he was last year, which is a good place.
Okay, and one more, if I may. I know starting pitching is always going to be a priority for you guys. Have you had conversation with Trevor Bauer's people, and where do you see yourself as a team that might be in the mix?
Yeah, I mean, I think like individually, like on the individual options, free agents and trades, we're not gonna comment on any individual players that that we've had, in terms of that may or may not be in our mix overall. So I can just say again, like for Trevor Bauer specifically, he's a great pitcher. Obviously recognized as the best pitcher in the NL this year. He would help anybody's team, and we've got a lot of options out there, both internal and in the free agent trade route, and we're working through them all right now.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
AJ, is your team as it is presently constructed good enough to win a World Series?
Yeah, and I think again, from our standpoint, we like our club, we like our team, and I think I think we like the players that are in the room. We like the guys that are coming up through the system, and I feel like talking to our staff, talking to our coaches, that we know we have to get better to get to the step that you're talking about, but we feel like we have enough talent to do that, and it's a matter of maximizing the ability of some of the guys that are in the organization on the big league club right now.
Assuming that you wanted to do more than maximize the abilities of the guys that are in the rotation, what more do you need to maybe add to your team to be a legitimate World Series winning contender?
Hold on one second. I got to put something on mute. Hold on one second. I had the MLB Network on pause here at the house for like 4 hours, and I think it just automatically starts running. So sorry about that. But yeah, I think Kevin, your question, in terms of other areas with the club. Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about fortifying the bench, and I think that's an area that we're going to continue to look at. We've had a couple guys that were on our bench last year, Mitch Moreland, Greg Garcia, that are in the free agent pool right now. We always look at the bullpen situation and constantly looking at trying to add interesting pen pieces. And, I think with the Clevenger injury from a rotation standpoint, continuing to add guys that can throw innings, and quality innings, those are areas that we've been actively focused on the last few weeks.
Hey, AJ, given kind of pandemic finances and $70 million on the books for 3 guys and the trade deadline push, all those factors, how much is trying to sort out a long-term deal with Fernando impacted?
Yeah, I don't think it's really impacted by the things that you just mentioned. I mean, I think it's just more going to be a conversation about what we see, his value and contract wise, what he wants to do directionally, and seeing if we can line up on a dollar amount. But I don't think it's he's a priority. I think his situation is a priority. And I think I think we're in a position to try to line up on a deal, and I think. We'll see what happens here over the course of the rest of the offseason to see if we can do that. But I don't think any of those other the other possibilities or the other things that you mentioned, they don't really factor too much in the Fernando situation.
Is the working timeline this offseason though?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think for us, I think we've spent a lot of time really looking at trying to improve our club and what's out there, free agent and trade wise, just because this is obviously the time of year we don't want to make sure we're missing out on anything. And I think we'll start to pivot here pretty soon. And I think as we get into the next month or two with both arbitration and also the salary renewal process for our 0 to 3 players, I think we'll start looking at, does it make sense on long-term deals for some guys, and we'll obviously Fernando will be right there at the top of the list for us in these conversations.
What do you make of his 2020, and where do you see him fitting in the organization right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, again, I think he had a challenging year personally. The death of his father definitely impacted him. I think I think overall on a baseball standpoint, he really never got going. He had the injury. And again, I think what we've talked to him about is it's a 60 game season. So a lot was different last year. I think in a 160, it's easier to let guys work out of slumps. It's easier to, you're giving guys more opportunity from a playing time standpoint. We were in a spot where we're trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to battle for playoff positioning. So for us, it was pretty easy to play Nola and Castro and guys like that as he was coming back from the injury. Again, ability wise, I don't think our evaluation of him has changed. He's still has a lot of ability, a lot of skill. He's still super young. I think you kind of forget that. And I think we're going to see him bounce back here this year. Yeah, I think we've looked at it both ways, and I think it really just going to depend on the individual, the pitcher that's involved, and then obviously like what potentially we'd have to do from a dollar standpoint, for a money standpoint, or from a trade standpoint, and then weighing that in versus what we see the impactability of our own talent and when that'll happen. So I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think it's one. We're not looking at it that way. I think we think there's a lot of different ways to be successful. I think, ultimately we have some really talented young pitchers that we'd love to see those guys get an opportunity to develop and pitch. And we also think the team, we have a good position player crew, good defense behind them, good bullpen. And I think if you can put some of those things in place, I think it's a pretty good environment and atmosphere for young guys to develop. So those are the daily conversations, at this point in time. And I think, obviously, for right now, like we'll see how the rest of the offseason plays out. But I don't think it's one or the other. We're not viewing it that way. We're kind of going down both paths, and we'll see what presents itself in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I think, I think for Chris, it's going to end up being a big time positive. And those have been the initial conversations with Chris and people close to Chris, is just, understanding that this is, he's never had failure. He's never experienced a situation where, really, I mean, it's unusual for somebody to get to that spot, second year in the big leagues, but dating back to high school and then immediate, not just, success at the minor league level, dominance really at the minor league level, and then a rookie year that was, top flight as well. I think, for us, like, I think he's learned a lot from it, and that's normal. Like there's a lot of guys that, in that second year or first year in the big leagues, it's an adjustment. And I think for him, like, just because of who he is and the way he goes about things and his ability level, a lot of faith he's going to learn from this past year, and he's going to be a lot better because of it. He's talking about that. He's got some little things that he's working on, not major adjustments, but some little things that, that our coaches have talked to him about that he's learned from. Probably keep that private and let him deal with those things. But, he's a guy we have a lot of belief and faith in, and expect him to come back this year ready to be at the front part of our rotation.
AJ, was tendering Tommy Pham a no-brainer, considering all the physical issues he's been through the last year, including being stabbed? And where is he today physically?
Yeah, it was a pretty easy decision for us overall. I think Tommy is a big part of our club last year. Even with the hamate bone injury, he was I think really from the start, his attitude, his mentality, the work ethic, brings a toughness to the team, and then the strike zone discipline, the emphasis on really zoning in on that area of the game and controlling that line, the line of scrimmage. I think all those things were really big, and I think from his standpoint, he's as hard a worker as we have in the organization. So I think we're betting on all those things. Obviously, he's had a bunch of injuries here over the course of the last few years. So those are things he's going to have to overcome, and he's working hard at it every single day. But in terms of the tender decision, We see him as a key part of our club. It was an easy call from our standpoint, and really look forward to having a healthy Tommy Pham back on the field. We saw what that looked like in the playoffs when he rushed back to get back, and look forward to having him on the field for 160 plus games and for a full season.